Dr. Mohammad Yunus, Chief Advisor of the Interim Government of Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and esteemed colleagues. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and may peace be upon you. I'm indeed honored to be invited to share some thoughts at this edition of the Bay of Bengal Conversation 2024. I was looking forward to sitting with all of you and be acquainted with those I have never met, and at the same time be reacquainted with friends. Unfortunately, I am unable to join you in person due to some unforeseen circumstances. Nevertheless, my thoughts are with all of you, and it is my greatest hope that this event will be able to put forth new thoughts and ideas and can be pursued for the betterment of mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, it would not be an exaggeration if we are to say that the world is in a state of turmoil. Well, in some parts of the globe, life seems to be normal, but we know that there is a strong undercurrent threatening to cause catastrophic upheaval globally. While the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict remains unresolved, it is the genocide committed by Israel on Palestinians which is most disturbing. The Israel genocide on Palestine is blatantly brutal and inhuman. It is totally unprecedented. But worse still, it proves that the rest of the world is important to stop the tragic decimation of a people. Secondly, all the international bodies which are supposed to protect the weak and the defenseless peoples and nations are equally important and incapable of performing their duties. Thirdly, it exposed the acute disunity among Muslim nations, with some leaders even prepared to ignore the plight of their Palestinian brothers and effectively aided the murderous Zionist regime. Finally, powerful nations in the West, the self-styled guardians of democracy, human rights, and freedom, reveal their fascist, racist, and bigoted nature as well as their hypocrisy for their support and aiding Israel in its occupation, ethnic cleansing, and destruction of Palestine and the genocides of the Palestinians. These nauseating lists can actually go on and on, but suffice to state that Israel, the rogue and pariah entity, had been able to conduct their atrocities with impunity because they are aided by these so-called great nations of the civilized world. Encouraged, the Israelis are not stopping with Palestine. It had ventured into Lebanon and now circling around Iran, playing victim all the time and affirmed by influential and powerful Western media. Swept aside are the numerous cross-border attacks and murders committed by Israel on those whose land they have seized and against whom they have oppressed for 70 years. Any attempt at retaliation by the oppressed are categorized as terror attacks. That Israel conducts state terrorism is ignored. It is the same script all over again, as we witnessed since October the 7th last year. The Hamas attack is a counter to the 70 years of oppression, but it is made out that it is a terror attack warranting massive genocide of men, women, children, and babies. Ladies and gentlemen, while Israel's genocide in Palestine and attacks on selected Middle Eastern nations is pushing the world to the brink of wider conflicts, the US is also busy provoking China into attacking Taiwan. The visit of Pelosi to Taiwan was deliberate in terms of increasing tension in the South China Sea. And of course, the sales of weapons by the US has shot up. It is not much different than the way the US and NATO provoked Russia into attacking Ukraine. Now the US will know the military capability of Russia. Poor Ukraine will be totally devastated. While not wanting to be an alarmist, I believe leaders of nations, the media, and civil societies should be speaking up vehemently against these provocations, lest we end up being caught in a war between the powerful nations. The collateral will obviously be the weaker ones. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking about the role of the press and media to help scale down the hostilities of these nations, it is unfortunate that influential publications, which are from these nations, tend to be jingoistic in their approach. They are actively contributing to the return of a bipolar world, which we thought had ended together with the Cold War. Instead, the bipolarity caused by the US China standoff is becoming all encompassing given the flow of information, economic activities, and human movements. It is a conundrum, actually. The free flow of information and economic activities should actually contribute to a borderless world. Instead, it had led to sanctions which affect world trade and especially by countries which have nothing to do with the conflicts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm fully aware that I have painted quite a bleak future, but I am a believer in speaking the truth and not mincing words. If we don't, then fake news will gain credence. That said, my faith in mankind was somewhat restored after the coronavirus pandemic. Prior to that, we had survived two great wars in which casualties were by the millions. Then we survived the pandemic, and the number of deaths ran into the millions too. While facing the pandemic, the world came together to end it, and yet, the minute the pandemic became less threatening, nations went into the belligerent mode yet again. My hope is that some sense would prevail, especially among the leaders of the powerful nations, that their belligerence would devastate nations, theirs included, and ultimately bring an end to mankind. Thank you. May Allah bless you all and for generations to come.